And we are live. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
It is 2021. How's everybody doing?
Amazing, amazing.
I mean, it's been a lot that's happened in this
weeks. 2021.
The sister cousin friend of 2020, apparently.
Right.
Man, well, welcome everyone. We love to get this going. This is season 2 of Yup. You guys, season 2.
I'm so excited about this season.
Right.
I know. I'm excited. We have a lot of wonderful things in store for you all. We just want to thank everybody for rocking with us. We did 20 episodes last season. We might be able to break that record this season. Who knows?
So many.
I know. At this rate, we might have to have season within a season to talk about.
I like last time how we broke it up into season 1, phase 1, and season 2, phase 2.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so I'm excited. We can just real quickly just go around and just get everybody's reflections for 2021 so far. I'll start with you, Miss Gigi. How's your 2021?
You know what? It has been interesting. I just have tried not to watch the news as much because it has definitely been chaotic in regards to the world. But for me, I've just been protecting my peace, setting boundaries and sticking to those boundaries. And it's been great. So I can't complain.
Awesome. And then we have Miss Jasmine.
Hey, y'all. So 2021, I am looking forward to it. I think that, we all have to take it with a grain of salt. We had a crazy 2020. I think that, 2021, we have to be more optimistic, but it's not looking so hot. So I don't know. I'm just focused on my business. Minding the business that pays me. Okay.
Business.
Because it's my business.
Mr. Christian.
Yeah, definitely. So, greetings, everyone. Welcome into 2021. If you are on here, please share this. For myself, going into 2021, my word for 2020 was leave it alone, leave it in 2020. And going into this next year, just ready, full of excitement. And, like Jasmine said, focusing on our business, what we want to do. And so, despite what happened last week, and we will indulge in that in a little bit, I just feel, that this is a year of creativity and a year of growth. And I'll leave it there.
I like that. For me, I would say 2021 is it's popcorn season all over again. I know Gigi says she's trying not to watch the news. I can't help but to watch the news. I am tuned in. It's crazy.
I'll do a little bit, but my birthday's on Friday, so I'm like, if it's gonna disrupt anything, I'm like, block, exit. I'm not doing it.
I feel you. But yeah, let's jump into it. Our co-host Lawrence is coming in. We are using a new platform, you guys, so bear with us. We're trying to, upgrade ourselves a little bit. So that comes with some technological advancements. But we definitely want to get right into it. And we can't help but talk because today is a big day.
Yes, it is.
Have champagne bottles. Where are my champagne bottles? I'll let you, Christian. Do you want to go ahead and jump into this? What happened today and what's going on?
Yeah, definitely. I think that today is a day. It's not one of that should be of a historical, blessing, but it is what it is. It's it's never been done before. He'll be talked down for the remaining of forever about being the worst president. Myself being involved into politics. We can go down the list of what white supremacy is, white nationalism is, of him just indoctrinating that. And so, today is a good day, as what Ice Cube would say. And so, but now we just got to figure out if, they're going to officially approve it.
Exactly. So as we've seen so far, I think it's at 10, well, not so far, but 10 Republicans did go ahead and vote for the impeachment of Trump, which I thought was alarming. It's pretty boring to watch for the most part, if any of those who actually watched the whole hearing today. But some of it was quite exciting. I did see a few of the Republicans that went ahead and spoke out and went against Trump and decided on the impeachment. So I thought that was kind of refreshing. And like I said, I've been eating popcorn since all of this has been going on. But, you know, I also have my thoughts about the Democrats as well. But I'm curious, Gigi and Jasmine, what did you guys think about what happened today and what's continuing to happen today?
You want to go, Gigi?
No, you go ahead, girl.
You know, one, I don't want to give too much praise to these Republicans because they got us here in the first place. I think now that it was a resurrection and their lives were almost taken. Now they want to say, okay, we need to get this man out of office. But for me, it's just a weak power move for them. And I don't think that their constituents should be still voting for them. I think that it should put them on notice how flaky and how, you know, wherever the constituents go or whatever's happening, they're going to do what their member base wants. They're not going to actually look at what's good for the country.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's my point of view.
Yeah. What about you, Gigi?
I mean, it's interesting. I was like, the man is only in office for what? 7 more, a week? Like a week left? What, he got a week left before the inauguration? So the timing of it all is crazy. But I also think that the reason why there's such support in the Republicans voting him out is because I don't think that they thought that planned capital move was gonna go as left as it did. Like I even saw like watching it, there was like, don't tear up that, wait, no, like, so I think it blew out of proportion. I think it was way more than they expected it to be. And at the end of the day, someone has to take responsibility. And that's gonna have to be Trump, just because
I humbly disagree.
It came out of like his mouth, unfortunately. So, you know, it's unfortunate. Yeah, he's definitely gonna have to take the responsibility for that. And it's unfortunate that he told them to storm the Capitol.
Yeah, you said you disagree.
And one of the Arizona senator told them to go and cause hell, and you know, it's sacrifice and all that stuff. So that's what's crazy to me. And they're saying that this was all planned and it was an inside job. So my thing is, it's not surprising. I think some of them knew what was going to happen. Ayanna Pressley said that in her office, her panic buttons were removed. Wow. It was all planned. So yeah, it was on Twitter today that her spokesperson wrote that they were removed. Her panic button was removed from the core. Mm. AOC, her monologue last night about how terrifying they were. They were in rooms with people who conspiratize against them, whatever the word is.
What did you disagree with? I missed that part.
When you said that you think they weren't expecting it to happen like that. I think they were. They knew it was going to happen.
They didn't expect it to escalate to the point. They knew it was going to happen. It was planned, obviously. Mm-hmm. But they didn't know it was going to escalate, because if you watch the video, they're literally like, don't trash that, like, don't do this. So certain people that were a part of it was literally like, don't mess up that, don't mess up that. They didn't realize that these people were going to really start vandalizing that. I think that they absolutely meant to stop the count. It was planned. I think I didn't know that at first. And then as I did my research, I was like, this was absolutely planned. But also, as I watched the clips back, I literally can see people like, wait, no, don't do that, don't do this. And it's like, what did you expect to happen? Once you let them plan, they're going to do what they want to do.
Right.
Yeah, I think there was definitely those unhinged people that were there. And then there were some people that, you know, wanted to make a statement. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a difference. And I may even have a controversial opinion by saying I don't think Trump thought that was going to happen either. Right. Even though I think he incited it, I don't believe he thought it was going to go that far. I don't think he knew truly the power of the Trump crazies that really stand behind him. I don't even think he realized it, nor anybody in his camp, including his sons and his daughter and son-in-law. So, you know, which oddly enough, they've been really, really quiet. I don't think I've heard anything from Ivanka or her husband. He's supposed to be his advisor. You know, it's just like, I don't know what's going on. What do you think about that, Christian?
But even if he did not even expect for that to happen, I don't think he even cared. Like,
I don't think he cared either.
Yeah, like there's a whole factor of compassion that he's just completely missing, right? And so regardless if they got over or if they got in, whatever, as long as they try to make some noise. And that's exactly what I think that they were ultimately trying to do, right? There's this idea of these white nationalists being considered white activists. I mean, like, that is a real thing, you know, like these were the white activists that were, you know, speaking on.
But also the thing is, whose responsibility was it to know about what was going to happen? I think that's the Justice Department, that's the FBI, that's the CIA.
Yeah.
All those people should have been on the ball with the intelligence, knowing that these people were coming to DC, looking like they're backtracking now, looking at their flight records and all this stuff. You can simply do a Twitter search and find the logistics or find people talking about they were coming on January 6th. I think it's hindsight's 2020, no pun intended. but I feel like they knew, and just like Chris said, if he read his briefings, he would know. I think that a big part of it is that people have been downplaying these terrorists, and they've been downplaying the power that they have.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it over and over in history.
Yep.
So that's my thing. It's just history repeats itself. We've seen they should have done their due diligence preparing. I
also don't think they thought anyone was going to die, because since it was planned, that's why the National Guard wasn't there. Now we can see definitely photos and videos of military sleeping in the Capitol, which has definitely caused some controversy. But this is such a big thing that they didn't expect anyone to die, and him being impeached is huge.
Yeah.
I want to read off Kenneth's comment because I think it's so relevant. He said, if he gets impeached, then he loses all of his retirement benefits, so lifetime Secret Service, travel budget, pension, and most importantly, he loses the ability to run for federal office again. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Kenneth, because sometimes people don't understand the consequences of impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you all feel about his son and daughter and all of them being able to run for office? Because it doesn't count them out, and they have the same values, if you will.
I think that it won't matter because of the last name, right? And that last name is a long-lasting like legacy effect, and I don't think that it's going to do them any justice, you know, with that last name. And it's sad to say, but that's what their dad brought upon them. And so it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go ahead and bring Lawrence in real quick. Hey.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Happy New Year. I had some technical difficulties, but
it's all good. Like Jasmine said, hindsight's 2020.
Exactly. How y'all doing?
We're excellent. We're excellent. So yeah, we'll jump into it too. Curious to know what your thoughts on today's twin impeachment. Oh, you got your glass. I need mine.
The glass and the chain. I'm like, okay, new me.
Right. It's new me. It's 2021. You know, this may be the last year I'm going all out. You know.
Okay. I feel like your voice changed too.
Yeah, when you throw the chain on, it get a little deeper.
Get a little deeper.
You know, you gotta switch it up a little bit. You talk a little slower.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, let us know, Lawrence, how you feel about today's proceedings and everything's going on.
Well, first, it's hilarious to see everything that Trump is going through. It's hard to have empathy or sympathy because he brought it on himself. Right. Apart from that, it's a sad day for American history. You know, this is the first time this has ever happened. 2 times he's been impeached at this point. And just thinking of, like, I have friends around the world. The rest of the world is looking at us laughing right now. This is something that we see in other countries that are going through revolution or, you know, have some like weird dictators. And we're always talking about, oh, Vladimir Putin, he just made himself a, you know, de facto dictator. And we're in a situation where it's scary, but if people don't stand up and do what's right, something like that could happen. Like, in all seriousness, they really stormed the Capitol building trying to stop the peaceful transition of power. So it's funny on one hand, and then I'm just hoping this nightmare will be over. I'm just waiting on the 20th. I'm gonna have a couple of shots laid out. You know, it's gonna be a celebration day when they kick him out the White House.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're actually going to be live next Wednesday, right after the inauguration. So, you know, lucky Wednesdays is what we got.
I'll be with y'all.
I do want to bring something up that was kind of alarming to me when I was watching the hearing today. I thought it was very interesting that Republicans they kind of all use the same script. You know, we know what they do. They use the same script. They use the same points. They just recycle them over and over. And one of the things that they kept bringing up was the fact that, oh, well, there was all kinds of violence when there was the Black Lives Matter protests against the police. And what about what happened in Portland when they shut down the police union? I mean, the police offices. And, you know, they just kept reiterating this and reiterating this and reiterating this. And I wanted so bad for the Democrats to actually rebuttal this point and say, yo, these fights are not the same. We're fighting for police brutality and for equal rights of black and brown people. You're fighting because you didn't get your way. You know, go ahead.
Sorry, Shariq. The whole circumstance is two different things. One, we know, or we have speculation that the people who were storming Portland and all the violence that was happening were the right-wing activists, if you will, that infiltrated the Black Lives Matter movement. Right. Secondly, when we're protesting, we're also protesting for our lives, where they're protesting for white supremacy. Fine. If you want to protest for white supremacy, that's your right. However, we're not going into Capitol buildings and causing danger. The violence that happened when Trump walked through to that church and decided he was going to mace everyone, that's violence on them. The violence at the Capitol is two different things. And I think they want to make apples of oranges, and it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyone No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I think anytime it's like white on white crime, it's kind of like, or even if it's like white on black crime, it's like it's kind of the media frames it in a way that is not as bad. I just remember the young man that was, you guys know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his name, but that shot up, what was it, the church, and then they took him to
Dylan Roof.
They took him to Burger King.
They took him to Burger King afterwards. And so, I mean, these are patterns. I don't think it's surprising. It's disheartening. But any time that the person that's committing the crime is you know, of Caucasian descent or white, you know, then it's always going to be not as of a big deal. But this is one time that you can't deny it. You can't deny that there was definitely violence. There was vandalism. There was even burglary, because people were stealing documents. You know, one of my friends was like, I'm going to have to dispute my student loans because I feel like my personal information has been tampered with. And I agree with her. You know, we don't know what was exposed, confidential information that was exposed. And so you can't deny it. It's on video. It's on camera. There's pictures of it. You can't deny what took place.
Yeah. And I was saying that to say too, like, it was just disappointing because I feel as though Democrats play it too safe. I know that they don't want to use the same rhetoric and use the same tools that the Republicans use, and then, you know, have that tit for tat going back and forth. But at some point I'm like, yo, grow some balls, yo, like just get at them, like get them. Like you have so many opportunities and there's so many holes in their rhetoric. And, you know, I spoke with my dad about that, and he just was like, you know, the Democrats are going to play it safe, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, there are certain Democrats that do that. I don't know if you guys got to see Maxine Waters. She killed it, and then as well as Representative Karen Bass. I feel like you know, there are various freedom warriors that are out there, you know, that we aren't able to really highlight. So I don't want to put them all in a bubble just because, you know, I am a Democrat and I just, you know, vice president of a Democratic club in Lancaster, California, if you ever want to join. However, you know, we have to realize that there are different different levels of being a Democrat. And so,
but is that what we want, though? Because like at the end of the day, we could be more aggressive as a party.
Agree.
But is it necessary? But more importantly, like, does that help us get to our goals? I'm all for, you know, reading somebody their rights. I'm all for whatever is necessary to get the job done. But when you're fighting or intellectually sparring with somebody that believes in QAnon and some like mysterious fake hocus pocus rhetoric. Like you can't, it's nothing you could do with that. The only thing you could do with that is be like, on January 20th, get out. Because when you try to, and I think I heard some Republicans say this, like when you try to have logic and reason with somebody that's just off their rocker, like you saw the people, how they were dressed up there. You know what I mean? Like they had capes on and like horns and just some weird fantasy stuff. I'm like, you can't have a rational conversation with these people. So I was like, what do you do? And for some of them, I was thinking today, I was like, you throw them in jail for a month or 3 months, they're going to come out empowered, emboldened. Exactly. They're going to be like, yep, I was fighting for my rights. I went to jail for it. You know, I feel like jail really kicks in when you get that like year or 2 or 3. If you don't give them like 3 years, give them 3 years. But like, other than that, I'm done with giving them publicity. I try not to like even give any type of like publicity to any of the conspiracy theories, into like, Sharik says it all the time. Like she calls the president by the number, like not by the name. So I'm all for Maxine Waters. I'm all for Barbara Lee. I'm all for like, you should definitely read somebody your rights when you can. But being even more aggressive than that, I'm like, how does that help us? Like I need more money in my community. I need my student loans paid down. I need that $2,000 that was promised. I need my money.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jasmine.
I think ignoring it is what got us into this place in the first place. Like we try to sweep things under the rug. We try to ignore Donald Trump and give him all these excuses. Mm-hmm. But I did my research, and Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Tillman Hayes compromise, which started Reconstruction. I think that's the same situation that we could be in now if we keep ignoring what's going on, that Jim Crow could resurge, that segregation could come back, or these people will start doing whatever the KKK was doing in the 60s. If we keep ignoring it and they go to jail, they get out, they're going to be empowered.
Yeah, Christian.
I know we have to move on to another topic, but this poses a question. Do you think that this will insurrect the idea of a civil war?
I want to get to that, but I just want to make a quick point. You said the KKK, and I read something today that said, now you guys understand why the KKK wears hoods, because people are losing their jobs.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they are facing consequences. And I even like Nathaniel Anthony Smith. He said, what about if they got a felony charge that makes life difficult to restart after imprisonment? So when you think about that, because that's a whole different level of consequence. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to add that out there. Go ahead, Christian. I know you were going to say something.
No, I asked my question.
Ask it again, Christian. Ask it again.
In regards to like all this stuff that is going on, there was I think even Maxine Waters brought it up in her speech regarding civil war, all this insurrection. You know, like could this possibly, because you brought up 1865. You know, we think about Reconstruction, we think about history and patterns and X, Y, and Z. You know, and you know, more Black people are buying guns. More people are buying different weapons, X, Y, and Z, just to, you know, you never know what may happen. And so kind of like it goes back to what Trump said, 45 said, you know, what does he say? Stand by, you know, don't stand by or something like that. So you never know what's going on. So
let's be
that clear. And the people who were there had Civil War shirts on, had Civil War paraphernalia on.
Right, but let's be clear, and then we'll get into. I love this comment from Chris. Chris is our fave. We're definitely gonna jump into that. And this my comment kind of falls in line with that too. This is all based upon fear. We know fear motivates people in the worst, and then sometimes in the best ways. And I think the majority of Trump's following and his base, they're afraid. They're afraid that they're going to lose their power. They're afraid that they're going to lose their white privilege. They like to speak so much about losing their arms, you know, their gun control laws that they think are going to come about once Biden is in office. And now that we have a Democratic-controlled Senate, a Democratic-controlled House, and now the president is about to be a Democrat, they think that they're going to lose it all. So all of this is based upon fear. And I think I can't say what could happen, but I wouldn't be surprised, you know. And I think all of us as Black people, we weren't surprised about last week. You know, I was in a startup class, you know, and oddly enough, majority of us were Black, but the teacher of the class was white, and she felt like she needed to take out 5 minutes to talk about what happened. And we're literally all sitting here rolling our eyes like, girl, come on, we knew this was going to happen. Let's get to what we got to get to. Like we know, you know, so I think we have a different lens and a different perspective, but these people are scared. So I think it could happen. It's very possible. You know, I got to get my passport.
Ain't nobody about that action. Ain't nobody about that life. Like,
Okay.
every life is important.
About that life, but when-
Every single life is important. I understand that.
Some of us are from
Five people were killed in this horrible insurrection. I heard people calling it a massacre. Like, listen, I don't know when people got like that soft. 5 people get killed in Chicago like every hour. Like, come on now. It wasn't that big of a deal. It's like going from what we had to a civil war or a revolution. It's not all. And to me, that's giving those people too much power. They're not that organized. They're not that smart. They don't have the weapons. They don't have the means. Okay, they went out there. They had their little day parade. The one thing that they had going for them was that they had their counterparts in power. And this isn't just some like, they were actual, exactly. They were police officers out there that were sympathetic to their cause. Now, what did they do today? They brought in the National Guard. They had guns down there. You didn't see them going back. You don't see them going to do nothing. They went right home, right to, I was watching CNN. They went right to Sizzler. You know what I'm saying? They had their Miller Lite or they Bud Light, and they talked about Olive Garden. That's right. They went to Olive Garden. They went to Olive Garden, got their pasta with the breadsticks, and they went home. So maybe I'm too confident, but or maybe it's just the way that I was raised. They don't strike any fear in me. I'm just like, all right, y'all had fun.
I mean, I'm not afraid. I'm saying they're afraid. Yeah. With their fear causes, you know.
And it's justified. They are losing. Like, listen, they had white supremacy for so long, and now they're losing it. They're actually losing something. Now, they should be okay with it. Like, you would think that if for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years, you had an advantage over other people for no reason at all, other than your color, you would think that after a while, you'd be like, all right, it's time to be fair. But they don't want to be fair. They want to have the easy life. They want to, you know, have an advantage over everybody, and it's getting stripped from them. And I'm happy. And they're going to cry and whine about it, but that's all they're going to do.
It's definitely interesting. I will say that. One thing that I wanted to point out is that the 400 years are up for those of us that are more spiritual, I should say. And so we are seeing a shift in things. I do think that there is a awakening that is coming, and you know, us as people of color are really bonding together and are being way more strategic. I love what Nathaniel said, and he said they are witnessing what their ancestors feared the worst, that minority organizing and coming together to fight against injustices that have plagued this country for generations. And we see it. And I think we see it not just in Black Lives Matter, but we see it in day-to-day interactions, even in the workplace, and even supporting Black-owned business. There is a movement. And I think the media will show you something else. But in my personal life, in my friends' personal lives across the country, there is definitely unity amongst people of colors. Now we have allies as well. So there's a shift that's taking place. And I think that if you are not watching or being aware of that, you're going to miss it. But there's definitely a shift taking place that I think should be celebrated.
I agree.
Yeah, I want to celebrate it, and I want to be optimistic, and I want to have all these positive views. But it just really worries me that as millennials, we're naive because we saw Black Wall Street. That was a few people who went into town and burned that neighborhood up. That could easily happen in Inglewood, where we are supporting each other. That could easily happen in Lamar Park, where we are supporting each other. These people have cars. It's not like they are from another country where they have to fly in and terrorize us. These are our
neighbors,
citizens.
Yeah.
Work with.
Come to Oakland and see what happens. I want to see them come. Bring a busload. Bring 2 busloads. Bring 15. Bring them to Oakland. Go ahead.
They definitely come to Oakland.
Well,
we'll see.
I want to slightly shift gears and go back to Chris's comment regarding raise your hand if you still have your Twitter account. I do. Do you guys? Yeah. Well, unfortunately, number 45 does not. So I even posted a screenshot. It made me so giddy on the inside. But then I do, on the same token, feel that there's a danger in this. So Gigi, I want to throw it to you because I know you may have your feelings about it too. How do you feel about Twitter putting down the gravel on 45 and removing him indefinitely?
I think that it's only an example of what's to come. We see that the ads and the things that we post on Facebook and social media are already censored. Now Instagram tells me how to post. It's like, oh, Gigi, just click this. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted to say. And so on social media, and I'm on all platforms, one, I see the censorship. So if I'm about to post something, it says, oh, are you sure you want to post this? Or this is potentially falsified information. Two, I definitely see that social media is kind of telling you how to post. And three, although I do think that Trump should definitely have consequences for sure, I don't think that it being on Twitter and Facebook and him being banned from all platforms, it's just kind of showing what's to come. And that is, we can't really say too much, or one, you're going to be blocked, it's going to be censored, and you may be kicked off of that platform. And so, yeah, I think it's just a sign you got to be careful what you say, or you might get kicked off the platform.
Yeah, Lawrence, throw it to you because you're the legal guy.
All right, hold on.
You too, Christian. But what do you guys think that this is dangerous grounds? We're all smart people. We know that the amendment that everybody's throwing out there about the freedom of free speech doesn't quite qualify with this particular situation. So, what are your thoughts?
So I was trying to illustrate something real quick. Like all I had to do was that, and I'm off social media. Like turn your phone off. It's not that big of a deal, man. Turn on. Like I come from a generation not that long ago. I'm 32 years old. Like I grew up without social media. I grew up without an iPhone. I had a flip phone in middle school. I used to come home and have night and weekends or talk on a house phone.
Oh, your parents get this,
right? And that was a big thing to have. Like we live in this generation where over the last 15 years, people are so indoctrinated with social media. It's like, oh no, you're taking away my civil right if I can't communicate on these platforms. So for me, I think it is in the right of Twitter, Facebook, whoever, to censor whoever. And if we don't like it, get on another social media platform. That's why I like that it's controlled by the free market and not the government. What we see in other countries, like in China right now, they're coming up with their own cryptocurrency they want to control. And then when in China and Facebook, when Facebook goes into China and those type of countries, either they ban them or China has to have control over them. I have a problem with that. But if you're telling me that like, oh, Twitter doesn't rock with me, okay, I'm about to get on here on Reddit. And if I don't like Reddit, I'm on Instagram. If I don't like Instagram, now I understand like the big platforms are like all that we see right now, but we're not so removed that we saw MySpace and then people were like, I don't like MySpace. Now we're all on Facebook, and just as easily people could change. So from a legal standpoint, I don't think that there should be a legal claim there, but there are some arguing differently. And we're like going down the slippery slope where people are making the argument that these social media platforms are so big and so much a part of our lives that we should have a right to them. I think that's more dangerous than just letting them do their thing. And we as human beings and citizens just turn off your phone.
I agree with you. One, I think that Twitter, Facebook, social media, these are all private companies and they can do what they want. They can have who they want on it. And I think that the First Amendment, I know that the First Amendment only covers Congress and only covers you in a public space being able to speak how you want to speak. There are communications laws and ethics that are intact that people need to follow. You can't just say anything, and that's what our problem is, that people think they can just say anything. So things aren't necessarily censored, but like defamation, you can't speak defamation against someone. You're going to go to jail or you're going to get fined. That's the same thing on Twitter. And also, it's a private company. Let's just go back to that. It's a private company. If I want to take someone off of my business and tell them they can't be a customer anymore, they cannot be a customer.
No service, no service.
And as consumers,
we
should be reading the terms and conditions. And if it says you cannot have defamation, you cannot have libel, you cannot have whatever else, that is their prerogative.
I just want to say two quick things to Lawrence's. Like you said that, you see what's happening in China and the government controls it. But I do think that the way in which they're handling things, it can be very similar. If you start to tell, because he's been saying outlandish things forever. Now, this time it resulted in deaths, but it doesn't change the fact that he's been saying outlandish things. And so the fact that now it's happening, I just think we have to be more mindful of what's going on worldwide, because there's definitely a shift in the economy, and it does some of the things that are happening are looking very similar to the way China runs their country. That's one. Two, some people make their living off of social media. So Trump is an example. But again, remember I said I think this is an example of what's to come in the trajectory of how this is going to affect everybody.
Yeah, I want to add 2 cents. I'm not too familiar of what's going on in China. However, I do remember just like I think Gigi, what you're saying about this is a business for some people. This is a way of marketing, of branding, X, Y, and Z. I don't see nothing wrong with them banning Trump at all. The censorship, I think there's like a Facebook jail. I've never been a Facebook jail or Twitter jail or something of that nature.
Yes,
so, I mean, it exists, right? So they're already censoring. And I don't think there's nothing bad with it, especially if you're spewing hate speech and what you're representing and whatnot. I think Gigi, you mentioned earlier about potentially this harming us in the long run. I will say that I don't foresee that happening to us, in regards to Black Lives Matter or, speaking on behalf of Black people or the Black economy. I think that there is an opportunity for us to continue because we're all stuck in the house. Everybody's getting a podcast. Everybody's getting a Facebook Live, all this social entrepreneurship. I think it could benefit us in the long run.
Mm-hmm. I want to say one of the things that I think was more surprising to me than him being removed off of Twitter was Apple's decision to remove Parler out of their application market. I thought that was pretty bold. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's pretty much a right-wing conspiracy theorist platform that, and more than likely the platform that they were using to kind of gather all the intel and get everything organized for the insurrection that happened last week. I was pretty shocked by that. That was something I wasn't expecting. And to me, I think that, I don't know how I feel about it. What do you guys think? The fact that Apple can just remove someone's complete platform and no one can go download it. No one can be on this. They're done. They're gone.
Well, even Amazon Cloud removed them. So everything is down. They couldn't transfer any information to another server, or it just shut it down completely. I think it's crazy, but it also has something. I feel like if these people are going to be on it, you want everyone to have free speech, you want them to have a platform for them to organize, then it needs to be some surveillance, right? But then that goes into defunding the police. Mm-hmm. And police should have the money and the resources that we want taken from them in one aspect. So I think it's kind of a catch-22 if these people can organize or not.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. The fact that these people were let's just call it, they just stupid. The fact that they were on there airing out their own business, they on live as they're in the act of a criminal act. How easy was it for the police and whoever to go and track these people down? I want to give a big shout out to the Black Bay Area Instagram page that I follow, because they have been doing a wonderful job airing everybody out from the Bay that got on a plane and went out to DC last week. They found their mamas, their aunties, they figured out where they worked, and these people had to shut down their platforms because you just stupid. So I'm thinking if we remove these platforms and these people find some sort of underground loophole in order to communicate with each other, how are we going to monitor them at this point? So I don't know. It's a little disconcerting.
Same way they did in the 60s.
I'm glad you brought up that point, Shariq. So to your point, you said they've done a great job at kind of exposing what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. So if someone decides that, you know what, we don't like this group, they can take it off and immediately that connection is gone. And I think that that's my concern, is that it's all good to take someone off if they don't align with your value systems, right? And again, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want. But I know people that have been submitting valuable information and they're being removed. I was literally watching the news today, and it was an Asian gentleman, and he was saying he was being censored. And the last thing that they posted was for veterans, and Facebook removed it. So my thing is this: if you're going to start censoring people, and they've already started it, you're picking and choosing what you want. So if I want to say, hey, oh my God, I remember there was something with the KKK and the Empire. It was a big situation. If I want to say, oh my gosh, be mindful, people of color, beware, be careful. If I decide to post that, then there's an opportunity for me to be banned by Facebook. So I think that the issue arises when we cannot get out this important information because Facebook or Instagram decides to censor it or decides to ban us because they don't like what we're saying. Now, if it's a private company, yeah, you can choose to do that, but I think that that's when it becomes problematic, when we can't communicate the things that we need to communicate to keep our people safe.
But I think we can communicate, and I think it's on the individual to create networks and pipelines in order to have that type of control over communication. These companies, they're the way we did it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and before, whether it's word of mouth, whether it's starting our own publications, whether it's starting our own apps, whether it's starting our own television network. Like whatever it is that we can create our own pipelines where we can't be censored. We have our own organic following. People follow us. The same thing I can tell you right now, those alt-right people, they don't care that Paul is shut down. They're about to go right back to the dark web. They're going to get on their 4chan. They're going to get on their Reddit, and they're going to stay connected because that's what they believe in. So for me, I don't need Facebook. I don't need Twitter. I don't need Snapchat. They all rotate and regulate. There will be another social media platform, and that's just the easiest way to get information out. Similarly to like in the 60s and 70s when the civil rights movement was going on, television was the easiest way to get things out to people. However, Black people couldn't get on TV. We couldn't tell our stories that way. So we had to find other, excuse the term, but like underground railroad ways of getting our media out. We had to communicate through the Black church. We had to communicate through the Black Muslims from city to city. So we could still do it if we need our stuff. But I don't think the best route is going to entail like telling a private company that either you shouldn't censor anything, because like we've come so far as a community of people. So if we just start letting people pop off with lies, and that's the key. It's one thing about like, oh, we have different values and stuff. It's another thing to say there were ballots stolen in Michigan and there were not ballots stolen in Michigan. Like that's just a lie. So I'm cool with censoring lies and not truths. I do have a problem when people start picking and choosing of like what groups or religion they believe in, but I think it's just okay. I think it's okay in general. And the same thing you said, Jasmine, about slander and libel. You can't just go around saying that, Christian raped somebody yesterday. I can't say that. I'll get in trouble or I'll go to jail. So the same way the president shouldn't be able to come out and just say these lies about people.
Right. And from another point that they like to use is you can't say fire in a movie theater. If there's a fire, you will go to jail for doing that.
I heard that's a falsity.
Yeah. I just think it's bigger than just the president. I think this is just an example of how this is going to affect everyone. And unfortunately, this is not the 60s. Unfortunately, we have even this platform that we're utilizing, you know what I mean? It streams to bigger platforms in order to get the word out. And so, I think we should create our own platforms, but I'll just tell you a prime example, Clubhouse. Clubhouse that's the brand new banking app, right? There was a gentleman that said he's going to create a version of it for people of color. People were like, well, why would we need that? And we have this. So the idea that, yes, I would love for us to create it, and I love for it to be as big and to be as poppin' and to be as popular. But the reality of it is we don't have that right now. And so I can't live my life in hypotheticals. You know what I mean? Like if we hypothetically create a Facebook for people of color, or hypothetically create a YouTube for people of color, that's something different. But
World Star.
That's
World Star.
Black
I'm not on World Star.
There's a lot of Black people on World Star.
Right, but I'm not on it.
Hood of the internet.
I'm not on it. So my thing is we are utilizing these platforms to get the word out about certain things. And even when you talk about what's lie and factual, certain things are lie and factual, that's granted, but certain things are subjective, just like the COVID vaccination and the thoughts and the theories behind it. You have nurses, and then you also have doctors that are differentiating between whether they should take it or not. So when you talk about facts and when you talk about lies and we talk about data, some things are subjective. So if you don't agree with me and this is your company, by all means, you have the right to kick me off. But if this is supposed to be a platform for everyone and information, I don't want to be on a platform, or I think it's problematic to be on a platform that's only going to keep information that they want the public to hear, see, or interpret, because then you're going to have a lot of people that's thinking the same way, because it's only one source of information that's being presented. And I don't think that that's fair. Same thing with Google. Google is being censored right now. So certain things you're not going to be able to find, even if it's true, even if it's factual, you're not going to be able to find that. And I think that the biggest civil war is really going to be mentally. And it's going to be a war of the minds, because for the first time in a long time last year, I really saw how everyone thought very differently. And COVID has been the perfect example, if you for vaccination or not vaccination, of the divide in the thought processes. And if you start censoring that, then you're not able to make a decision on what you want to do because you don't have all your information.
Yeah.
And now we're going to segue into COVID, but I just want to close with this one point. NBC Universal, Fox, all of those have one person, usually a white person, that's feeding information and that is manipulating our minds. That's what media is. So to say that people are going to have these segmented groups and to have these segmented trains of thought, that's already happened. You choose what you want to consume at any time, at any platform, with any.
Can I say one little thing? I'll just say this. So Gigi and Jasmine's point, I'll use an analogy. To me, this feels like you got this dude you really like. He's really handsome. He's good looking. He's smart. And you know he's a liar. He's an F-boy or whatever you call. And you know you should leave him. You should turn him off. You should not respond to the text message. But you keep creeping back every time he hits you up, every time he slide in your DMs. This is the relationship people have with social media. It's so attractive. It's so beautiful. They want to stick with them, but they know better. To me, it's not manipulation if you know better. If you know that Fox News manipulates you and you shouldn't be watching it, turn it off. If you know that Disney and NBC are out here and they're just shoving whatever they want down your face, turn it off. You can read a book. And I know I sound like the old man here. I sound like my dad coming out. But like we don't have to do this.
Media, though, because social media is going to be me posting what I believe, Lawrence, you posting what you believe.
Yeah.
The television is going to be based upon the network. So if I work for the network, it doesn't matter what I believe. I'm going to have to tell the people whatever the network tells me. Now, on my phone or two phones, I can tell the people what I want to tell them from my perspective. So social media is completely different than the television networks. Yeah, you can turn those off, but I don't want you to turn my Instagram off just because you don't like what I have to say.
Yeah,
I think it's all media.
Go ahead, Christian.
No, I think we're here to, be able to agree to disagree, but I definitely think that, our Twitter, our Facebook, our social media, it's all a part of media. It's all a part. It fits under that umbrella of entertainment. And so our media, our news. And so, yes, I have the power to control what goes through my eyes, meaning that whatever I turn on in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, yes, I do kind of go through Facebook and do my Instagram and my Twitters. But I also have days where I'm like, I don't want to do that because, it brings up different emotions. It brings up different people that I don't want to see or I don't want to encounter or, I do want to do X, Y, and Z. And so we ultimately have the power to control what comes in and what goes out. And I think that I agree with you, Gigi, in regards to this year being a mental awakening. If we allow that to happening, I remember a pastor saying something about if this is your best year spiritually, this will be ultimately your best year, right? And so just things are shifting in the world, but we also have to be cognitive of the fact that social media plays a huge role in today's society.
Yeah, I agree. I think too, we have to keep in mind, we're kind of, I would dare to say that all of us are a little bit more exposed to different ways of thinking and different lifestyles, and we come from different walks of life. But I think on the same token, we have to keep in mind that so many people are brainwashed, to be completely honest with you, and they may not have that trigger in their mind to say, you know what, let me back up off of this for a little while. Like, ideally, yes, I would like to be able to not scroll on Instagram as soon as I open up my eyes in the morning. But the reality is, if it's on my phone, which is why I end up having to delete it every couple months or so, it's gonna get clicked. Like it's just one of those things addictive.
You don't even have to get on social media. If I'm talking to you, Sharik, if I just call you up, I'm gonna tell you what's on social media, even if you're not on it, because that's just
facts. Yeah.
So I just think it's way bigger. It's way bigger, and I think it's easy to say, "Oh, just don't get on." I agree with you, Lawrence. It's easy to say that, but in actuality, that's how most people get the information that they seek that information. Sometimes
make
that
your
information.
money.
And then the algorithm, child, the algorithm. Once you go down one rabbit hole, you know, for some reason, my Instagram loves to stay on proposals. You know, I don't know why I see people getting proposed to all the time on my Instagram.
Right, girl.
I'm looking for something else. So, you know, whatever my algorithm is set up as, for some reason, I keep seeing Black people getting proposed to. So, you know, that is what it is.
Mine is all about COVID. I keep seeing these Black doctors that are like showing themselves getting the COVID shot. And that's what's on mine. And in my head, I keep thinking, why do I keep seeing, and specifically Black woman doctors or Black nurses, I keep seeing that on my timeline over and over and over again. And I don't know that the algorithm is showing because I'm not liking all of them. So I don't know why I keep seeing that over and over again. What do you guys think about that?
Right. I think too, it's bringing up that point, Gigi. That's very good that you did that, because we can always also blame Twitter and Instagram for their algorithms, because they're removing Trump, right? But they also set it up in a way to where that's all that these particular people are seeing. They're not seeing the other side. They're not seeing the liberal side, because they set up their algorithm in such a way that all they're seeing is what's feeding the agenda that they're already brainwashed into. Exactly. So I'm glad that we brought that up. And then going to COVID, as we know, the vaccines have been rolling out. We'll kind of go around and each say how we feel about the vaccine. I'll start. Me personally, I have to kind of wait a little bit because I've been known to have negative reactions to vaccines. So that's just my personal take. But I don't shun or fault people that have made the decision to get the vaccine. I definitely think there's a lot of propaganda that's going on out there. And then now with Biden coming into office and with his plans, he's planning to actually go ahead and release all of the vaccines at once, as opposed to keeping the allotment to allow certain people who went through the first round to have the second round. So I was curious, Lawrence, what are your thoughts on this transition as we go into Biden and his effects on the vaccine?
Personally, I don't see myself taking a vaccine until later this year. I had to, I think everybody should. They make their personal assessment or judgment of their like risk profile. I'm working from home right now, so I don't have to have that much interaction with the world. And for me, I'm taking it when I can like go back out and do stuff. I'm not taking a vaccine just to sit in the house. So like when football stadiums open back up, that sort of thing. As for everybody else, I think it's just you gotta make your own decision. I know people that have done everything that every doctor has said. They've socially distanced. They've pretty much been cooped in the house for the last year, and they end up getting COVID. It's still an airborne disease. We don't know a lot about it. So, I've heard stories of very close friends that are young that have gotten it and have like horrible effects. I know that's what people were saying before. It's like, oh, it's just a cold. Like I've seen people just be stuck in the bed for 10 days. I've also seen older people get it and have no type of effects at all. So I think the efficacy and the safety of the COVID vaccine is what they say it is. I have some faith and trust in the FDA, which is the same reason why I eat meat when I buy a steak from the grocery store. When people are like, oh, I don't trust the FDA, I'm like, this is the same regulatory body that regulates when you go buy aspirin and Tylenol. They regulate when you buy some cow meat and you make sure it's not mad cow disease. And they're saying that this is safe too. So to say that like, oh no, they are telling the truth about all this other stuff, but just lying about COVID, I find that to be far-fetched. So I think just do what you want to do. If you are a person and you're afraid of getting COVID, go get the vaccine. If you want to wait it out. But whatever you do, wear a mask. Don't be like a purposeful spreader. Don't be like them Atlanta, Texas people. But I know you heard that, Gigi.
I knew it.
You know what's coming.
I knew it.
Christian, what are your thoughts on the vaccine? And do you think Biden should roll it out completely, or should he go with the original format of the round 2 vaccines?
For myself, I'm kind of like leery. I'm kind of like on your side, Sharik, in regards to waiting it out. For myself, I probably won't take it until, ultimately necessary. I have been hearing that kids are returning back to school and they're going to be required to take, COVID. And so that's interesting. I do think that I don't know if you guys know, I went to Atlanta to help with the Warnock and Ossoff election, with the take back the Senate or flip the Senate. And everyone was so scared of me going over there from California. They're like, go out there, wear a mask, make sure you be okay, don't go here. I mean, they're in Atlanta just full throttle, open, no mask. You know, you go in there to sit down. Thankfully, we were COVID trained, so we weren't able to do all what they were doing, but you saw it, right? And so it begs another question of like, over here in California, are we doing something wrong versus what's in Georgia? And so, you know, I think for myself, I probably will not take it. I think that Biden needs to probably implement some type of a procedure to do it immediately, and I will let it go from right there. I see you smiling, Lawrence. What?
Hey, if you want to sit up here and tell the people what you want to tell the people, you can do it. But, you know, I ain't going to bust you out and act like we done been in different countries and traveling this whole time. You know, I'm just going to speak for myself, acting like you was down there in Atlanta all, you know what I'm saying, socially distanced. So that's cool.
I was.
Yeah, okay.
Jasmine, what are your thoughts?
Initially, I was skeptical whether I was going to take the vaccine or
You
not.
should be traveling too. I'm snitching.
But because of that, because I am so sick of, and look, I've been traveling. I was in Atlanta during the pandemic. But I need to take it. I'm living with my grandmother right now. She gonna take it. I think she gonna take it. I'm gonna take it because I'm with someone who's risky. I hang out a little bit with some friends. It just makes sense for me to take it. If you don't want to take it, do you, boo? Do you?
Yeah. All right, Miss Texas. Been taking all these shots.
Here's the thing. I think that during this whole pandemic and even 2020, I said you have to do what makes you feel comfortable. I think the biggest difference between Atlanta, Texas, and LA is there is a lot of, first of all, LA is completely shut down for those of you who are watching it in different parts of the US. And so to see a city that is so shut down, there's nothing you can really do. And to say that the cases are astronomical, it's like, wait a minute now, then what are the cases in Atlanta? And I think the biggest difference is in Atlanta, they're living their lives and they might be doing, I don't know, like my friend, he's living his best life. I'll just tell you that. And I don't know if he's had COVID or not, but what I can say is there's a fear that is not there. And I don't know if he's taking home remedies. Or maybe I have to have that discussion. I went to Atlanta for something, and I remember wearing my mask, and he was like, "Are you going to wear your mask in here?" I was like, "Yeah, are you ashamed of me?" So it's definitely a completely different culture, but there's nothing like the mind. So one thing in their studies that show is if a person thinks that they're going to heal, and you have the same person that has the same illness and they think they're going to die, the person that thinks they're going to heal is going to heal a lot faster than the person that thinks they're going to die. And so I think that, and again, I said this earlier, the vaccination, and if there's any type of war, it's really going to be mental. That is the biggest war. I think that everybody should do what's best for you. One, whatever gives you a peace of mind. And then two, I also think that if you want to travel, then travel, but make sure you do your due diligence to make sure your immune system is where it needs to be. And I'm not just talking about the vitamin C packets. I'm talking about echinacea. I'm talking about elderberry. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but just some of those things that are a little bit stronger than just the vitamin C packet. And like for Christmas, I gave all my family and friends herbs and vitamins because I just really believe in that. So at the end of the day, I just think that people should really take care of their immune systems and do what they feel is best for them, because you can't control what anybody else does. So you can be as safe as you think you can, but if you have that fear and the person next to you, you know, has COVID and gives it to you, even if you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, there's a chance you can still get it.
Yeah.
Can I get one of those? I want the GP special immune system package.
Well, you know what? You throwing a little shade earlier, so now.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to stay healthy.
You know,
I do want to say too, because I've been trying to rack my brain as to why is LA basically the epicenter right now, whereas we saw New York was originally. And when I'm comparing the two cities and looking at the track line and the lineage of what happened, I will say, if you really think about it, LA and New York are the biggest international travel hubs in the country. And I do believe that is the primary reason we're seeing such an increase as opposed to Atlanta and Texas, which they do have international travel, but it's nowhere near as much as you would have at LAX or JFK.
So and I think
and that's what I was going to say. I'm curious as to why that hasn't been explored in terms of these particular cities, these particular hubs, why they aren't banning certain types of travel. And I think more than just shutting everything down completely, I think we should probably shut down the travel, because that's where it's coming from. People, y'all can't stay y'all asses at home. I'm gonna just be 100. Like, y'all can't stay at home.
But you know, the people who got who had this new strain first, they didn't have any travel symptoms. And I do think it's coming over in planes, and obviously we're spreading it through travel. However, it's because LA and New York, one, are more condensed, and we live on top of each other. Yeah. Whereas in the South, it's a little more spread out. I mean, they're going out hanging at parties, but if I'm in LA, I'm hanging at parties. I am going back home to my multi-generational family. Then I'm going to work. I think in the South, they have a little bit more separation, if you will.
Yeah. And people in LA nasty anyway. I live down there.
Like, people are getting at the grocery store. Right. And like, I'm like, and one of my friends, she was like, well, you know what? When I pumped the gas, I didn't put no hand sanitizer on. Like, you got to be able to have common sense too. You know what I mean? Or you be safe, but you're dating during COVID and you're kissing other people. Like, I'm not trying to out nobody out, but here people just aren't being safe all around. If you're going to do certain things, you need to make sure you wear your hand sanitizer and sanitize and take your herbs and your vitamins to get your immune system where it needs to be.
It's an adult program. I was just I was going where Gigi was going with it. People, they didn't stop having sex. Like, you really think people in LA stopped doing it? Like, and you can't protect yourself when you know that close and you doing stuff. Like, let's be honest.
The LA sheriff just busted a whole swingers party of 200 plus people.
I did.
What?
Yep, I read that. Yeah.
You're nasty, LA.
You're nasty.
Well, I want to kind of segue and kind of get on a lighter note. I know we're all kind of tired of talking about COVID, and we ain't gonna be done talking about it until who knows when. But I want to throw it to you, Christian, because as we said earlier, you were a part of the rallying of the troops down there in ATL. Who, you know, y'all did some big things, and we done flipped it, didn't we? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So can you just talk a bit about that? And, you know, we didn't even have enough time. We didn't even have 24 hours to really celebrate the big win because, of course, we know what happened last Wednesday. But can you just allude to us your part and what happened down there in Atlanta?
Yeah, definitely. It was a great experience, first and foremost. Being able to come from California, going to Georgia, and really expressing the need of them needing to, you know, go out and vote. So shout out to Workers Power Pack that allowed this opportunity. I want to give a shout out to Ms. B. She's like my ride or die over there. And so it was a good experience. People came from LA, came from Philadelphia. I met people from Alaska. About 900 union workers came to Georgia to really flip the Senate. And it blew my mind because, you know, I ran a couple of campaigns last year, but of this magnitude and, you know, seeing the people really, you know, hungry for change. And, you know, it didn't really click in my head in regards to what happens in Georgia ultimately is going to happen. You know, if they didn't win those seats, then it would affect every state across the country. And so we just kept expressing that to every voter. We went knocking on doors. We had our shields, we had our masks, our gloves, our antibacterial. I don't have no COVID. I'm negative. I'm good. And so, you know, we were able to really, really get out there and meet and talk to people. I will leave on this or state this is that I was able to talk to a voter, older guy, and he was talking about how he marched with King, and, you know, he knew the family, and he was very amazed at how the younger generation is becoming more politically involved. Same thing with this platform, right? Becoming more politically engaged. And so he was just like, keep up the good work, stay involved, you know, stay away from bad people.
What did you march with?
He said with King and some other people.
I was born on his birthday, so I just had to.
But it was very heartwarming, you know, and heartwarming, and then also just, you know, them being responsive, and you know, I got cussed out a couple times being at the doors, but just go and we'll leave you alone. You know,
I heard that.
Cherie, yeah, you were super passionate about it.
Who? You talking about me?
You said Cherie?
But who did you say, Gigi? I didn't hear you.
I said you, Sharik. You were super passionate about it.
Oh, about the win? Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Like I said, I want to continue to give Stacey Abrams her flowers. I think, this whole everything that she's done, and a lot of people are just now hearing about her. I've been following her career since, when she first started talking about her gubernatorial run, and if you don't know her story and what happened to her, that's just one badass Black woman that took a lemon and made gallons and gallons and gallons of lemonade with it, some good lemonade too. And she really did her thing. And I think we need to pay more attention, and we need to, like I said, give her flowers. Hopefully Biden gives her a nice little cabinet position, gets her where she needs to be. And I think we should just support and keep watching her movement and support our brothers and sisters down there in the South, just period. I know we have our differences. I know we kind of throw little shots at you, Gigi, in Texas. But I think it's monumental. I don't know, in my lifetime, has there ever been Democratic control of all three branches of government? I don't know. But at the same time, we still need to hold them accountable. As I mentioned earlier, I'm tired of them being some little wussies. That's just my opinion. I think we can get with the times and go a little harder with their beliefs and not be too afraid. Sorry, Christian, I know you're a Democrat. I'm a Democrat too. Yeah. But I just think we live in a different time, and we see that political theater is a thing. Political theater is not going to go away. So do I think you need to stoop down to a certain level? When they go low, we go high. Absolutely. But at the same time, go high and call these people out and be a boss. Like, I'm ready to see a change. I'm ready to see a shift. I know the Republican Party is struggling significantly right now with their identity. I know they're trying to move away from being the party of Trump, but we need to move away from being the party that got injured by Trump. We need to have our own identity and really come into our own. So I'm excited to see what happens.
I agree with you. I think that we just watched the Democratic Party get beat up. We saw they have the win and they have the control, but it didn't come easy. It was all of Stacey Abrams. I also heard that Texas almost flipped blue as well. So they're doing a lot of groundwork in Texas. So that's exciting, because I don't think that it's necessarily going to be Democrat, Republican as we see it now in the future, because they are trying to get younger voters, and they're trying to, I don't want to say socialist, but they want to have more programs that help entrepreneurship, and they want to talk about the economics of it, and that's their big win and their big highlight. And they have to kind of come back from this insurrection. So I do think that morally they're going to have problems, but I do think the Republicans still have a chance of, I guess, taking their party back, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this was a good example of mobilization on a national level. Sorry, Lawrence, and I'll let you chime in.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I think the win is a big win. It's really big if you are of a liberal mindset at this point, or you're a Democrat, or I feel like even if you're a moderate, because we live in, which pretty much in all effects and purposes, a dual party system. And if you are a Republican, I see a lot of Republicans being like, I can't rock with Trump. And I think the people that should really look themselves in the mirror and be like, this is all my fault, are the Trump sympathizers and supporters that were enabling him and allowing him to go and become such a big, powerful, mogul and figure. Because now when everything's blown up in his face, now people want to run away and be like, oh, I'm resigning. I don't want to have anything to do with them. It's all over. Well, it's a little too late, because, as a Democrat, you didn't hurt us by getting the cheap thrills of going with Trump or getting those cheap votes. You hurt yourself for potentially decades, because now you have a generation of individuals that has seen this type of insurrection, that has seen this horrible, blatant racism, and the equal yet opposite reaction is that public opinion of like Black Lives Matter is higher than it's ever been. The reaction to Trump is that we're turning a red state that's always been red, like deep, hard South, blue. So I love to see those things. I guess this is kind of like segueing to like the future. It's just what's next. And I think we all touched on it. Like we need to hold each other accountable. And these are the times where it's equally or even more important to be civically engaged, to write your politicians, to continuously vote, at every single election. You know, at your House of Representatives get voted every 2 years, senators every 6, but then they rotate, so it's not the same time. Every time there's a voting opportunity, you should be voting, because now that, speaking for our audience, that we have the people in power that are sympathetic and empathetic towards our needs and wants, we have people that are going to listen to us. Like, take advantage of that. Get exactly what you want. I have friends from UCLA and even up here that have just been doing some like great things with bringing legislation, working with interest groups. It doesn't take a lot. Like, I feel like the barrier to entry in the political field, it's all mental, and people think, oh man, I need a degree or I need to go to school. You don't. All you need to do is be passionate about a topic and send an email, and that's how it gets started. So it's all good news to me.
Dope. Well, since you kicked it off, I want to go around. We'll go. Is that counterclockwise? Let's go to Gigi.
I wanted to share my opinion.
I'm saying let's go to Gigi. You can chime in on that, and then if you want to let us know how you feel about the future, and do you have hope from where we stand right now?
So for me, I think it's less about Democrat versus Republican and more about the individual. And I do think that there have been some powerful individuals like Stacey Abrams. I have loved her since the beginning, that don't get as much credit. Like, even what she does that's not publicized, if you follow her, she's doing some amazing work. So for me, it's just more so about highlighting individuals that are really making a difference in order to change things for people of color. That was one thing that I wanted to highlight. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is the fact that, like, I love seeing people have more educational conversations about this. And so I had a conversation with a friend, and she was like, well, the popular vote definitely, but I definitely think she said the popular vote determines the presidency. And I was like, no, the electoral college does. So being able to have more conversations like that, because the people that we select in these local elections is what's most important, especially when you talk about who make up the electoral college. And so I think that we don't have enough conversations like that, and we should. And Christian, please turn off your trap phone because I'm trying to speak. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I think we definitely should have more conversations about what the electoral college is, because it and all of that. You know, it is important, and I don't think that people understand how that affects the president, the presidency and all of that. So I'm glad we're having more conversations about it for sure.
Absolutely. Christian, let me throw it to you. How do you feel about the future?
Definitely, I apologize. My bad. I still don't know I don't know how to take the ringer off my computer. I've been trying to figure this out.
They should be watching the show, okay?
Listen, I'm about to tell them. I remember being out there. Someone was saying that Stacey is the Fannie Lou Hamer of these times, this day time. So I think that was a powerful statement, and it is a true statement, which leads me into the future. And I think the future is bright. I mean, look at our beautiful faces on here, being able to have these conversations on social media in 2021, because our ancestors paved the way, right? And so we build. It's like stepping up the ladder, or just climbing up the ladder, and us holding the ladder for each other, you know? And I think that right now it is pivotal, it is critical, and vital for every young person, every young adult, you know, that may not be politically involved. And I think this is why we weren't taught this in our K-12 curriculum. Once we become cognitive of the fact of like what our ancestors had to deal with, what we had to do with voter suppression, that, you know what, something might trigger in their mindsets to where they revolt or they have something to say and speak out against. So for me, you know, I teach my students Malcolm X, so we're learning, we're evolving, you know, and it's all about the future, and the black and being black is the future. Just everything black is future, and so I'm very excited about it.
I'm gonna put that on a shirt.
I love it. I do
want to from my professor, Dr. Hunter. Shout out to him. So, you know, make sure you put his name on there.
I definitely want to just piggyback on that really quickly with Nathaniel's comment. It's inspiring to see such a turnout in political engagement with the newer generation and how amazing the future looks with them involved. And I think that that's what it's about. Like, this, if nothing else, have facilitated conversation, and people are more knowledgeable and more educated about how politics works. And so I'm definitely seeing an awakening and a shift.
Yeah. Jasmine, how you feeling out there in DC, girl?
Girl, it's crazy out here, but I am excited to see not only the Democrats, but people with ethics and people with morals keep their foot on the gas. And I think that's what's going to really change our society. It's us mobilizing, it's us being able to inspire the future to get involved, because we saw what happens when negativity and when evil takes over our country. And I think if the United States wants to be this exceptional country that we all think it is, we have to go back to setting the standard and set an example for global politics without globalization and mind other people's business.
Mind your business. I agree.
Mind the business that pays you.
All right. Well, I think if nobody else has anything else to say, I think this would be a good place for us to bring this of season 2 to a close. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of our viewers. This season is gonna be lit. I know it. I feel it. I'm calling it into existence. We have the inauguration next week. We're definitely gonna talk about that. I hope I see Michelle giving somebody some type of side eye shade, because she be doing that real slick and real cute. And Kamala definitely gonna have some side eye slick shade. So I'm
Where's she been?
I know y'all saw Kamala do the busted challenge, right?
Y'all
didn't see that?
No, are you serious?
No,
No, that's it, y'all.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know where she been. I haven't heard anything.
It's gonna be a
Yes. Say that again.
Do we find out if it's going to be a real inauguration or not, or
We
if
have
it's
to see.
We don't know.
We have to see.
No, I don't think it is. They're doing a day of service. So there's like different organizations all across, and you guys can join mine. I would love for you guys to do that if you're in the Antelope Valley or but we're basically just doing a day of service on that day. And so all the Democratic clubs across the nation, you know, they've been challenged to give back to the homeless, or we're doing a domestic violence shelter. And so that's what
going to be a whole weekend of service, because also Martin Luther King Day is a day of service.
And Gigi's birthday, yeah.
Service. Hey, Gigi, I might come
And
down
my
to Texas.
business
All
turns
right.
3 on Martin Luther King Day.
Right. But yeah, so you guys stay tuned. This is going to be an amazing season. Please chime in. Follow us on social media at _network on Facebook.
Please share.
Yes, please share this episode. You can go and rewatch.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you want somebody to see, go send them the YouTube link, the Facebook link. We're just super excited about this season. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see the nature of politics and how things move and civic engagement. I'm excited to see all of our journeys, because I know we all individually have our unique journeys within social justice and law, and within our careers and entrepreneurship. We're going to touch on all of that, you guys. So definitely tune in, tap in with us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Hey.
Bye.